Hi there, thank you for joining me for today's video. I'm going to be taking this holiday tag sign from the Dollar Tree and giving it a second life. We are going to be using the back side of this. I've already kind of sanded over the front side because there's glitter on it, and that can be a pain in the butt to paint over sometimes, and I've just used a Lysol wipe to kind of clean it off from anything I had on it outside. I have the Waverly chalk paint. I love the matte finish, so we're going to use that because it's thick and it takes very little coats to get a good coverage on there, and I just love doing these quick sort of DIY projects to just add a new little piece of decor in my home. I have a Cricut paper cutter I found at Tuesday Morning. I wanted one of these little sets so bad, and instead of paying like $50 at Michael's, I found it on sale at Tuesday, so I was super happy. I don't really have any measurements in mind for the vinyl or how big I wanted the words. I was just kind of winging it. I knew how big the sign was roughly, and I just wanted the font to kind of be as big as possible, to be honest. I just kind of go for it. Any excess vinyl that I have, I just put in a scrap pile, and I just use my snap matte feature from the iPad, or I can just use a hole punch with like a star or heart or smiley faces, whatever my heart desires, and use that on other small pieces of vinyl without even using my Cricut, which is kind of fun. But the scraps always come in handy. This vinyl I actually purchased from Tuesday Morning as well. It was like $5.99 or something. So I really like this one. It is very sticky, which is good for some projects. This is such a challenge for me every single time, getting the vinyl on the cutting mat. I don't know how some people can just do it in what seems like one go. They got it on there and they call it a day. Nope, this is my fight. This is my struggle. But I'm hoping just the more projects I do, the more used to it I get. And I just kind of want to get it on there. I've tried using the lighter grip maps, but for some reason, even on those, I have a hard time getting things straight. But I'm just going to get on there the best I can, go over it with my brayer to kind of rough out any bubbles or raised pieces that are on there, and overall just make sure it adheres to the mat really good so that during the cutting process it's not going to move. I don't have to worry about putting any tape on there because it's not sticking to the mat. Plus, this is a fairly new mat. I think I've only cut 2 different things on there, so it's got really good adhesion. I have a couple of standard grip mats that actually do need to be cleaned. But these ones are from Amazon. These aren't actually like the official Cricut cutting mats. And I think it's like $13 for 3 of them, which is really nice. I still have my project prepared in Cricut Design Space. I did not weld this together, which I kind of regret looking back at the project. It would have been a lot easier because even when I printed it, the bottom side of the phrase prints on top, and I end up having to just put them on individually. I don't know, but sometimes I'm just winging it in the projects, and I take note and remember it for the next project that comes ahead, because that's what's fun about DIY projects. You just learn as you go. I'm using my iPad for this. A lot of the time I use my computer, but I like just a lot of the features that are on the iPad as well. I'm going to just connect it to my Cricut Maker via Bluetooth and wait for it to load. Here, it has a lot of the presets. I'm just going to use standard vinyl for this. And then once this comes up, I'm going to change it from default to more pressure because, again, need to change out my blades. I went ahead and just stuck my mat in the Maker, and I'm waiting for it to just align itself. And we're good to go. We're going to let that cut. I have my paper placemats, which I love so very much. It is keeping me from completely destroying my cutting mat that I do a lot of my projects on. I am gonna go ahead and get the initial coat of paint on the tag. It is a little bowed because I live in Florida, and the humidity and overall just weather throughout the season kind of will mess up these sort of like cheaper material products, which is fine because that's what they're made for. They're usually made for just a season to move on and then do something else with it. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get a nice thick layer of paint on here. Oh my goodness, I'm having flashbacks. This paintbrush gave me hell. It was one of those multi-pack paintbrushes, and since this was like a newer video, I was like, let me try to use a clean brush and not one of my old dingy brushes. Well, this thing was shedding so much, it gave me just the hardest time. So halfway through, I ended up just calling it a day. Oopsie, me trying to get little paintbrush hairs off of it. Drove me nuts. Drives me nuts. Even before I use the brush, I typically like smack it around a little bit to make sure it's not shedding like crazy. Oh no, I just got mad and I was having to pick all these brushes out, and so I just had to throw it to the side so I wouldn't lose my mind and pick up an Old Faithful brush and move on with my life so I could get this paint on there. I love the chalk paint because it really doesn't take a whole lot to get a full coverage over whatever project you're doing. And especially since I'm working with the blank side, it was just going on so lovely, and I was just getting around the edges, and I was really happy with that. I set it to the side because my project was complete with its cutting process. I'm just gonna throw the little protective piece back over this. Bam, call it a day. The design looked like it cut perfectly, which made me super happy. It didn't have any ripping or anything like that from the blade not being too super sharp. But what I like to do is I like to go over this with my brayer just so it re-sticks to the backing of the paper so that if during the cut it pulls up at all. So I'm going to do that. Oh yes, I dropped my cutter on the floor and it came apart, but it's really super easy to put back together. You just pop the thing back in. And I'm going to cut off that excess just to get it out of the way. Bam, ready to go for another project. Oh, again, yes, this vinyl is extremely sticky. It's so sticky, which is super awesome for when it's finally time for it to stick to something. But the weeding process is painful. Yeah, it's pretty painful. So I try to get it off the best I can and keep it flat without touching the other part of the vinyl because I have destroyed so many things while working with this, and it'll stick to other parts of the vinyl and rip the project off. So it's just safer for me to cut it down. And like I said, I am a bit of a problem child and I got glue on my scissors, so I needed to get it off so I could use them. Okay. So we're gonna just snip this off, so like I said, so it doesn't stick to the bottom half of the project and completely destroy it, because you can tell I've been burned by myself in the past with these over and over again. And these little extra pieces on the side, I'm not letting go to waste, so we're just gonna use that again, like for some sort of either a hole punch sort of thing, or we can create something smaller with the snap mat feature. Bam. And this, oh, it comes off beautifully. I'm so happy. That was a bit risky. Ooh, ooh, going for it. There we go. I went ahead and just cut this apart from each other and got the Cricut vinyl on there. You didn't miss anything too exciting, I think you swear. And I just like to trim off the excess if there's anything too wonky on there. And I'm just going to make sure that's sticking to the Cricut transfer tape really good before I move on, and I just set it to the side so when it is time for me to do the rest of the project, it's ready to go. So this is pretty dry. I am going to go over it with a little bit of dry brushing and just to see if everything looks good on there. We'll see if I like the placement, if I like the size. If not, we'll start all over again. Just kidding. But I'm going to use the Anita's acrylic paint, just in regular black, to do my dry brushing, to go around the edges, to rough it up, make it look a little funky. And then we're also going to cover up that back part, because we don't want people to see, you know, what it was before. If they were to pick it up and look at it and be like, what you got going on over here? A whole lot of. Oh my goodness, this whole bit was just a mess for me. I just dumped a bunch of the chalk paint on there, and I don't know, just sometimes you ever just like craft and you're just like, oh my god, what is going on? What is happening? Yeah, I got it all over myself, got it all over everything else. I was like, okay, I just want to get this glitter covered up. I want to get this truck covered up. I need to go rinse off my hands because they're covered in paint. But I don't want the back shot. I don't want people to see the back. I don't want them to know the secrets that are on the back side. So I got this covered up. Used a little bit too much paint, but that's okay. It'll dry, and that'll be future me problem to deal with. But at least we know it's covered up. I'm pretty sure I ended up using like a coat and a half, and I just did the initial coat, and then I kind of just went through any other part that was kind of showing through a little bit, like where you try to sand off the glitter parts and it's just a little bit thicker. I got the backing off, got it positioned the way I wanted it, and so I'm going to go over it with my brayer so we know it's on there. It's not going anywhere, not anytime soon. It's stuck like that, for good. Haven't ripped anything off, yay. Hooray, hooray. We're going to use this transfer tape for another project, so we're just going to stick the backs on there and move along. Call it a day. There we go. I have a little piece of jute that was on there originally, so we're just going to retie that back on there so it doesn't go to waste. See if I can tie a knot. Maybe, maybe not, maybe. Oh, she got it. Okay. And that is all. Let's take away that little piece of paper. And it's ready to go. Thank you so much for joining me. You have a beautiful day. And see you in the next one.